There is clearly a problem in the country in terms of income inequality. It predated the financial crisis. It was made more extreme during the financial crisis. I think if you look at the impact on families of the recovery, you can't just look at wages. Wages are important. You have to look at jobs. Having a job versus having no job is an enormous difference in your standard of living. And we created over 10 million jobs in the recovery. And I think the tightness of wages, that wages have kind of been stuck and not going up, has overshadowed the enormous impact of having a job, which was not a foregone conclusion. We've created more jobs than the rest of the developed world. We recovered faster than Europe, faster than Asia. Why are incomes stagnant? There's a number of things going on. It's not all the financial crisis. We have an increasing amount of the economy being automated, so you don't have as many people in the production process as you used to. You've had a lot of slack in the labor market, so employers have not been passing on the gains that they've been getting. Frankly, I think we'd be in better shape if there was a bit more of the impulse to increase wages.
So does that mean that people haven't felt it, or they just don't understand it? This is the headline of another article. The policymakers saved the financial system, and America never forgave them.
Yeah, look, I think that's unfortunately true. The alternative would not have been a good story. If we had allowed the financial system to completely collapse so that it couldn't be rebuilt, we wouldn't see the tens of millions of people working who are working today, and we'd be in a very different, much worse place. That is not satisfying to a family that's saying, how come we still have a tax code that supports a winner-takes-all economy? Now, ironically, we had a populist outcome of an election and policies that only deepen that trend. It didn't fix the trend. We saw tax cuts at the top. We've seen a reduction of taxes on inherited wealth. So we haven't fixed the problem. I think dysfunction in government, as much as the financial crisis, is the reason to blame. You look at what the answers are, we all know the answers. We could raise the minimum wage, and that would help a lot because you push up wages at the bottom and it provides relief. The investment in infrastructure translates into good, high-paying jobs and fixes the roads and bridges that are broken. But we can't get any kind of a consensus to do those things. The financial crisis didn't create that problem directly. It has worsened it because we've ended up in this very polarized political space, which took a system that wasn't working and has made it even more dysfunctional.
You don't ascribe any of the income inequality and that it got worse to staying at zero and on interest rates for so long. So people that owned assets obviously did well as the stock market went up and home prices rebounded. So the high end naturally, if you stay at zero, so that the wealth effect, that the Fed is trying to engender the wealth effect for the economy to recover, but as a, as one of the side effects of that is the rich got richer. And maybe some pro-growth policies that you seem to think are not pro-growth, even though we're seeing growth, maybe that would have helped. And they could have come off of zero and not been there for 8 years.
So, Joe, I actually agree that if we had used more fiscal policy for longer, it would have taken some of the pressure off of the Fed, to stay at zero for so long. But that gets back to the political dysfunction. When we did.
But is the Fed supposed to be looking at kind of holding up the world? I mean, I thought there were 2 mandates, and some people argue that's too many. If you look at unemployment and you look at inflation, neither one of those pictures is a reason to be still staying at zero.
I think that you have to distinguish the years of the crisis and immediately after versus now.
Right.
For a very long time, and I had these conversations with 2 chairs of the Fed, they didn't see fiscal policy playing its part. And they had to do a bit more on the monetary policy side so that the overall response would keep the economy growing.
But that is definitely not in either one of the mandates for the Fed. I mean, that
it is if your goal is to keep unemployment down, because the zero interest rate was jump-starting the economy. It has a delay. It doesn't work as quickly as fiscal
But there's
policy.
Keynesian fiscal policy that you were advocating, and then there's supply-side fiscal policy that the Republicans would have wanted. That's why they didn't do what Obama wanted to do. He wanted to raise taxes even more than he already wanted to. Some type of, I don't remember what the Jobs Act was, but it wasn't cutting corporate taxes. It wasn't a supply side remedy. So of course the Republicans weren't going to go along with that. That's just the nature. Just like the Democrats aren't going along with anything right now.
Truth is that in the Recovery Act there were tax cuts when we did.
You mean the $800 billion?
Yeah,
right.
When we did a
Remember,
second
corporate
round.
tax, but the corporate proposal was down to 28%.
Well,
Right.
and also before you even get to that,
Well,
when we did a second
didn't use
round
the bully
of
vote.
stimulus, it was reducing the payroll tax, which was reducing taxes
Right.
directly.
Right.
And I think we could have done more of that if there'd been more political space. The economy could have used it. It would have taken some
I don't think
pressure.
you didn't